let's see if we can get your joy from a 7 to an 8. Feels like you can understand. I mean, at least I can. I can understand.
I would love
how
a 7,
that
by the
wouldn't
way.
feel. Oh yeah, 7.
I would drive
that's
a long way for a 7. I'd pick it up. I would tip well, even though I'm picking it up. Keep on counting, honeys.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Mind Under Matter. We are the Grateful Boys of comedy, coming to you a week before Thanksgiving week, and wanted to express our gratitude to you for listening, for all of the words of encouragement, for sharing, for spreading the word, all that good stuff. And I hope you have a lovely holiday season. We thought we'd do a Thanksgiving episode, and here's kind of basically what I was thinking of the structure of it. One, sorry that you're not going to get to hear our take on the Pilgrims and
Was colonialism good or
happened.
bad? Which very black and white interpretation are we going to take? You'll never know.
Yeah, I mean, read the People's History of the United States. Is that the name of the book? Howard Zinn's book?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a fun book. I recommend that if you wanna dig into that subject, that take. I don't know. Feels like there's a lot of other people out there with takes on that probably do it better than us, and it's not a subject that I think I can speak to as much as the idea of gratitude itself. So we're going to talk about gratitude and thankfulness. It is like, it's a bummer because on its surface, it's my favorite holiday. Like an appreciation for thankfulness. That's like, yep, that's the best. That's the best one. That's absolutely what we should be doing. And it sucks that it's tied to this like potentially pretty dark history.
Yeah,
that
pilgrim hats, diseased blankets, yelling at your aunt and uncle at Thanksgiving about Trump. What else is it associated with? You come out and you're not accepted. That's a thing, right? Or is that I think it's a thing.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a 90s thing.
That's still a thing that's happening. There's
Or you're accepted, or you're medium.
I could have maybe done some history, some origin story of Thanksgiving, not also just like why we eat turkey. When did squash become a thing? I didn't. I thought we would just have a fun conversation about gratitude and things that we're thankful for. It's one of those subjects where, my whole life I've had such a platitude allergy that that thing.
Good phrase. That's one of the lines on your tombstones.
It does sum up my take on lots of things, and it's one of those things that like many things as I get older, that it either was like coming down from sort of in a disingenuous way from authority figures where I felt like it was just like you have these little platitudes, these little words to live by, and they're just, you just kind of say them. There's no meaning behind them. And hey, yeah, life is terrific. Hooray. And so I just kind of ignored that stuff. And then also, Thanksgiving I was the oldest in my family, and so and then my cousins and everything were 5 years younger than me, which when you're young is like, that's a huge age range.
That's a whole
And
school's worth of, like, because high school is 4 years, so they're not even in school with you at the same time. You don't even get to bully them.
any of the majority of the family, my dad's side, I had cousins around my age, but my dad's family was spread out all over the country, so I didn't see them as much. And so my mom's side, we saw really often, and there was just no one in my age group to relate to. Any kind of family gatherings were just exceptionally brutal for me growing up because of that.
You're in
Not
the limbo.
because they weren't like nice little functions and stuff like that, but just I had no one to talk to or relate to, and was like forced to like, okay, I'll either hang out with these old people I don't want to talk to, or these young kids that I don't care. Like I actually liked playing with my little cousins and stuff like that, and having them jump on me and stuff, and getting to be like, they could call me Uncle Shane and stuff.
Yeah,
and
the first uncle reference is always good.
Yeah, but
you have to like, put on a Hawaiian shirt and always have a half drinking beer in front of you.
Yeah. And I feel like I was never like grateful generally about life, just overall. And now the older I get, the more it's odd that science is something that turned me on to gratitude. And I got interested in science at a good time for it, because there wasn't this like positive psychology movement or anything like that until the last couple decades. There wasn't like any publications on gratitude, like hardly any, until like 20 years ago they started.
Oh wow.
And
you would have been kicked out of the school for suggesting it.
Yeah, it was the same. We talked about this on the meditation episode, and early on, I referenced the guy Richard Davidson, who was one of the kind of founding researchers and a very deeply serious neuroscientist that went at examining meditation, and there's just been lots of things like that have come along over the last few decades, which so if you're unfamiliar, audience, that the idea of positive psychology, it's still a new field. It's still in its infancy. It's still far from perfect, and I think finding itself. But the general premise that therapeutic models or science generally has looked toward solving problems with the mind, solving deficits of the mind, and looked less at things like, how do you be happier, and more of the money, more of the focus, which sort of makes sense that PTSD and things that like really deeply negatively impact people are really, really costly for individuals in society. So it does, it sort of makes sense that it's intuitive to fix those big problems first. But why not figure out how to be happier in life and spread more joy and gratitude and happiness?
No money in it.
Yeah, but it seems...
This is like such a pessimistic thing, and I don't believe it all the way through, but there's money in selling, you will be happy if you buy this, but then you don't get there. So you're selling the hope of the happiness rather than teaching people to be happy with nothing.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's really, it's just not very tangible. It's certainly, if someone goes from not functioning to functioning much better, or fully functional, or recovering from whatever, an injury or mental health issues or whatever else,
assault, trauma,
explosions. You can see that it's just more salient. It feels more measurable, whereas like, let's see if we can get your joy from a 7 to an 8 feels like, You can understand. I mean, at least I can. I can understand
I would love
how
a 7,
that
by
wouldn't
the way.
feel. Oh yeah, 7.
I would drive
So that's
a long way for a 7. I'd pick it up. I would tip well, even though I'm picking it up.
7's kind of greedy, I feel.
Yeah.
Like. I'll take like give me like a 4 joy.
4 is good.
Well, this is another thing too. What's interesting about gratitude is there's so much. One, I should say I don't actually know anything about the science of gratitude. I didn't do any research. I've heard bits.
You've seen the cover of the book. You've seen it, right?
Yeah.
You know that there is a book.
Yeah. I know that it's starting to come along. It's things that we've touched on here and there, and I mean, one of the things that grabbed me was the idea of a gratitude journal. It was kind of put to me in a way that made sense in the way that I think about consciousness in life, which is you give your brain this assignment that you'll like sleep on and be vigilant for completing on a conscious and but probably mostly subconscious level through the day. And you're priming yourself. So there's more to it than that, but what is the most convincing to me, I think, or at least in how my brain, what was the most useful for me as an individual. I don't know, other people would benefit from gratitude journals for different ways, but I think just giving myself, I don't have a gratitude journal at the moment, but I've kept them in the past.
What's your longest streak? Do you know?
Well, I mean,
I'm lousy at it. I can't go more than 2 days because just the work element.
Well, I wouldn't say that I've done that many days in a row. Maybe like 2 weeks, but I'd say I've kept a journal that's like pretty consistent for like 6 months or so, and definitely months here and there through time, varying levels of frequency, but. The idea that if you commit to doing this each day, then it plays into my laziness. Whereas if I commit to doing this thing, which is just like, all right, I'll do this silly pain in the ass thing, then all through the day, my subconscious is going, keep an eye out for things to be grateful for because you have this homework assignment, and so you have some bullshit that you're going to need to write down at the end of the day. And even going into it with a cynical view, it changes my my conscious perception of things, and I just happen to notice.
Damn it! Look, here we go with the word. It's coming. Cynical meaning like, oh, this isn't gonna work, or cynical in that like, oh, I'm gonna die, or my parents are gonna die, my siblings are gonna die, but I'm grateful that they're not dead yet.
Yeah, cynical in that this isn't going to work. I guess skeptical. Skeptical that something, there's something like very soft and fuzzy about a gratitude journal. There's
the word itself, gratitude. The word is just makes you want to run away.
It's like it's like meditation and yoga and all of these other things that growing up, in the Midwest, like, this isn't something a man does. Nope. And a gratitude journal is like, I would say, steps beyond meditation and yoga. I think you would have an easier time.
It's evidence too. Like, it's worse than if you were to make like your own pornographic films or something. You'd rather people find that than find your little gratitude journal.
Yeah, if you find the sex tape you make, that's like bragging rights. Mm-hmm. But your gratitude journal, it's like you're very vulnerable and everything. And
look, Shane likes his girlfriend. You're gay. Yeah, everything is gay.
Yeah, in the 80s, everything was gay.
Hmm.
I so, but that's that idea that you can kind of change your conscious perception of the world by and change the lens through which you see the world. It's the same as why I often, another thing that I often do, like intermittently, but not every day, but I go back to, is the thing I didn't read anywhere. I just tried, I started doing it myself one day, was I just started making, I stopped doing a to-do list. I keep a to-do list now because I keep track of things, but I don't look at it that often. Usually, I when things are going well, it's because I'm keeping an accomplishment list, and I'm saying not like I got a trophy for pickleball. I'm saying just like I answered these emails today. Like every single thing that I accomplished, I put down, because a to-do list makes me perceive the world of just this never-ending amount of failures.
Yeah,
I cross
it's
a
only
thing off.
showing your failure.
Everything I cross off just adds 3 more things to it, and it's just endless. Like literally everything. I cannot cross off a thing without at least 3 more things popping into my head that I need to do.
It's the
'Cause it's
Hydra.
just the next level. Yeah.
Yeah, and
And whereas
the things you saved are gone. Like you don't get to even see the things you saved.
yeah,
Or not saved, but
and
accomplished.
it doesn't feel that good to me. I mean, know yourself. Some people love the idea of putting that line through the thing on the to-do list, and that does nothing for me. Whereas when I can look at the things that I actually did, that seems to change. That seems to reframe my perception from, look at all of what I didn't do today. Look at all this list of today's failures, this list of laziness and anxiety, to like, oh, that was a decent amount of stuff that I got done.
Yeah. B-
And
day.
and the gratitude journal for me kind of does a similar thing. And I know there's a lot of other research showing that people treat others with more patience and everything else when you prime gratitude, or just like more generous when they're grateful, less spiteful when you have someone present. they do fucking crazy. There's crazy studies where they'll just, like, there's a classic one where they just have you, they go, put together a presentation on what you value in life, and present it, and you present it to a person, and the person's just like, what? Why would you? Why
the person doesn't even know
about that.
The other person doesn't know there's a study.
No, the person's an actor meant to discourage them from the very things they value in life. And then,
wait, so you don't find your kids annoying sometimes? You're glad that the procedure worked? I would have been.
And then they'll like, and then you give someone an opportunity, and then you say like, all right, now you need to put some Tabasco in this thing for that the next participant is going to get, and give, and it needs to be like a little spicy or whatever, but they have to drink whatever you give them. They don't actually ever give it to the person, but they'll put more like painful hot sauce in a stranger's thing when you've just like crushed their dreams and called them a piece of shit.
Paying it forward, baby.
Paying it forward. But if you meditate regularly, if you're primed for gratitude, it's that there's just a lot more resilience, and there's like a lot more social will. And so you put like less hot sauce in, or other things like that aren't readily coming to mind. But
I love the genre of psychological studies, which is just torture others, whether it's the shock test or the prison experiment or just today we will be torturing other people. You will be the torturer and you will be the tortured.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if I mentioned this before, but they've started debriefing people after these studies because they realize like
they're sending them out into the world.
Come into study. Tell them all their dreams are stupid, and then like, okay, collected the data, and then you just let them go back into the world. And that's the fucking Unabomber was in one of those studies.
Was he
Have
the
I
guy
told
saying
you
in
that
the
before?
dream his dreams were crushed, or his dreams he told someone that he crushed?
It was something like he was told to give a presentation on this and that, and like they
blowing up a government building. That's stupid. I'll show you. With no one inside of it. It would be great if they combined the two no, you're saying they did combine the two, right? They tell you your dreams are stupid and then you give them the hot sauce.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, you prime them to just like be pissed, essentially, and they do it to like there's a lot of stress studies. Like you have someone give a 5-minute presentation on something, and then you have the Confederate there as a age. You don't tell them that it's someone. You don't tell them that that the person that you're giving a presentation to is like works for the lab. You tell them that's another study participant, and so then the person in the audience, you're giving a presentation, and the person's just like. Yawn. And it's a really reliable way to bump up people's cortisol and stuff, so you can measure it. It's like really, really measurable. So if you want to, like, I had someone on that measured stress contagion in between a parent offspring, but in particular mother child, and they would separate the mother and child. You know, there'd be a control condition too where they wouldn't do this because there's separation anxiety anyway. But you'd stress the mother and then reintroduce them back into reintroduce them to their child, and whatever happens, they don't know if it's hormones or stress making you hold your baby in a different way, but cortisol levels go up in the baby as well when the mother is stressed. So there's
How old? Beneath 1 year?
Babies. Yeah, I think so. I don't remember exactly, but sure, let's say 1 year.
They're still synced up. They're not. Yeah, maybe it just gradually goes away.
But I do worry about, because part of gratitude is there's emotional contagion with things. And so when you're grateful, you have a disposition that is a little more contagious potentially, and that can improve your social life. I don't know how much it's weird because there's a fine line. There's so much forced, us forced to behave a certain way in a certain work environment or in certain social settings or whatever, because there's like this social responsibility. We're in a group. I have to pretend I'm liking this concert right now. I don't want to be a buzzkill. Or you got to be the cheerleader around the office, and give the pep talks and whatnot. But I do go back and forth with that, because I can get hopeless in a hurry. Like we were talking about in the last episode. I can go from like 60 to 0 and 0.5 excuses, just like
it's like dropping glass versus making a sculpture of glass. Like the gratitude is the sculpture of glass. You have to like heat it up and bend it and wait for it to cool. And then the dropping to 0 is just like one little touch of. It's so easy to destroy.
That's such a perfect analogy. Holy crap. That might be a good art piece.
We've got some glass making listeners too. Their name escapes me at the moment, but the name was a good name, so you got that.
Yeah, we had a couple. We had at least one on Patreon alone, but I think there's a few others that I follow and stuff on Instagram. There's but yeah, the idea, because there's a level of like not giving a fuck that I have that I think some people could benefit from, and in the fact that I don't think that people take enough chances in life and could get out of their comfort zone a bit more. And then there's a not giving a fuck that I have that's like everything's pointless and whatever, which can teeter on delusion and you can potentially, when you learn helplessness, you can miss opportunities. I guess I'm for whatever creates opportunity. If not giving a fuck will make you like take that chance on that thing that you always wanted to do, terrific. If not giving a fuck makes you not get out of bed ever, sorry about that.
How do you use it? It goes back to your functionality bias of like, if I can use the not giving a fuck, then I'll like it. But if it's what's the point? The sun's gonna eat all of history anyway, and none of this matters. And there's plastic in the ocean, and there's dolphins trying to swim through 6 packs of plastic, and look at their face, and they're smarter than us too, and we're the ones in charge, and they're so smart. They're the smartest people in the whole world. But they're so smart that they don't even need language or writing or computers or anything, because they just play all day. But dolphins are pretty cool.
I mean, they are super rapey. If we're gonna put some check marks in the cons for the pro versus con dolphins, I mean, there's plenty of negative things we could say about dolphins, but they are pretty cool at the end of the day if you forget about that stuff.
Yeah,
that is always weird when it's like when you see a painting of to like know that stuff, and to see like a painting of this like majestic duck or something in someone's home, and it's like, oh, that's a rapist. That's the biggest rapist in the animal kingdom that you have like a painting of in here.
Oh yeah, all they do is rape, genocide, and judge other ducks by the color of their fur or feathers. What do they have? They've got both. They've got like feathers, and they've got like some fur kind of thing at the top of their head.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. But yeah, so I don't know what I think about the emotional contagion. We have plenty of deep, dark conversations that are, I think, really really interesting and stimulating, and can make people feel seen or be therapeutic, and know that other people feel these ways. And then, but also, like, you can be a fucking buzzkill at a party sometimes if you have that disposition. So it's always,
you're not supposed to be too deep at any party. I think getting too deep philosophically or buzzkill at a party with the downer stuff is wrong, because normally there's alcohol involved at the party, and people aren't wanting to use that cerebral, like, organizational math sort of thing. I haven't been to a party in 8 years, but
hey, what's up? You guys want to get too deep? You guys want to get overly deep? What are you guys up to? You want to get overly deep? I'd be down. If someone asked me if I wanted to get overly deep, I'd be, if I was in the right mood.
I remember there was this one, it was at Mugshots, I think, back in Austin. And there was this woman who was just, and she was right in all her points and everything, but she was in a very like cynical rant about, capitalism and all the injustice in the world. And there wasn't even any focus to it. It was basically just calling out all the injustices.
All of it.
And there were these 3 guys really trying to get with her, and none of them wanted to engage in like any sort of back and forth. They were all just like, yeah, it's just it's just awful. just to see the three guys agreeing over there and just going off on that. I thought that was a little funny moment. And you could see the pain in their eyes where they're like, I just want to be dumb right now and ask her out or something.
Yeah. But so with gratitude, it does. There's certainly this social component to it, which is you can do a gratitude journal. You feel a lot of gratitude by yourself, and it's funny because we're like, oh, we're such social animals, and it's very true. But also at the same time, every single person is alone and will never be anything. But like the individual experience that you are having, no one will ever fully relate to it. Like it is.
That's a blessing and a curse, huh?
It is
like because in a Black Mirror episode where the girlfriend wants to join the head or I forget if it's the husband or basically one of the partners wants to merge consciousnesses with the other person and just be one consciousness. And that can, no matter how much you love someone, that could be a terrifying proposition there. And and then you think about it the other way. It's like, oh, now there's no one else in the movie theater but me up here. It's always been me in the little movie theater. It's just, there's no anyone else there ever other than what I can put into mouth noises or type or hope to get something back. So it's kind of both. You don't want to merge.
It is both.
And you are lonely.
Yeah. And it's funny. They say like loneliness is worse than cigarette smoking. What an odd comparison to make.
Yeah.
Though. Like I don't know how they measure that.
Did you know that rubbing oranges on your eyes is worse than having a skateboard roll over your toes?
Yeah, it's like, okay. I don't know. I mean, perhaps it's predictor of longevity or serious health ailments or something like that. But
I'd rather smoke cigarettes at a party than be alone, feel loneliness, not be alone, but feel lonely.
Well, that's part of the appeal of smoking, or at least it used to be.
Yeah, you're never alone.
It's like you would go outside and you'd smoke with someone. You'd always be smoking with someone, and there's this wonderful bonding thing.
And there's something
and now if you're a smoker, I'm just like, if I don't have a pack on me, I'm just like, do you have a cigarette? And there's like no one has a cigarette anymore, and so it's just like this desperate gross feeling like someone must have please, I got $10.
Yeah, and the culture is that you're supposed to always bum someone a cigarette unless it's your last one. If it's your last one, you can be like, it's my last one. But when someone asks, at least all the smokers,
it's the fine you pay for smoking.
Yeah, everyone I knew that was a smoker, I was so surprised that anyone that asked, they just gave it up. I mean, I guess I do with gum, but I don't carry gum that much.
You have a lot of people asking you for gum
all day, every day. Phone calls, emails, DMs, people jumping through the window. Where's your gum? Hey, you got any gum? Do you remember Norm Macdonald's David Letterman impression? It was just basically, hey, Paul, you got any gum? You got any gum?
Were you a late night guy as a kid?
I was big into Conan and Letterman, and I thought Tom Snyder was interesting, and I didn't get it yet, but I thought it was really funny that there was no audience and it was just the cameraman laughing at him, and it was this really old guy. Like all the other ones were kind of more not young and hip, but like not old, and he had gray hair, and it was just so late at night. But yeah, it was mainly Letterman, Conan, and occasionally I watch one about Koth too. I'd watch the guy that likes Koth. And then old Dick Cavett interviews are pretty dope. Dick Cavett with Muhammad Ali, or Dick Cavett with Hendrix, or have you seen any of those?
No.
He's the ultimate 70s talk show guy.
Hmm.
I think he's
Yeah, I
even more
never saw those.
70s-y than Carson, because Carson is Carson. But Dick Cavett, you're like, that's 1970 right there. The hair, the
Interesting.
set, the way they spoke, the tone, the timbre of the show, it was so 70s.
Yeah.
Were you? What were you?
Yeah.
You were Conan and Letter?
I was Letterman. Used to record every single episode for many years, and then for like 2 or 3 years anyway. And then I was and then when I started working third shift at a furniture factory,
Ashley.
Conan.
Oh, wait, you're not allowed to say.
No, I can say.
Oh, Ashley Furniture.
Woo! There's they used to re-air Conan on Comedy Central at noon, and it was the only late night thing that I could watch, and so I would watch that, and then I got into Conan, and he was my favorite.
And then you got to be on it 8 times. That's wild.
5.
You got to be on Conan 5 times, and you were watching him while assembling furniture.
Very grateful.
And now he's gone and forgotten, and he has a beard bigger than yours. No one's heard of him. He's gone. Or he's probably working on something. Who knows?
I think he has a HBO show or something happening.
Yeah, no one dies. I mean, Letterman has a Netflix show. Jon Stewart has The Problem. Yeah, they're still, if they're alive, they're still doing something.
Okay, so had some technical difficulties there, but grateful for the internet that I'm able to communicate with someone and 2 time zones away. It would be a long plane ride and a 30-hour drive or something, and I'm able to instantly, and when I'm able to tap into that sense of gratitude, it makes the little technical difficulties seem like a fun little bump in the road rather than this insanely irritating, how many times does this have to happen? And by the way, if you are into deep conversations at parties, I actually think pulling up some of these surveys that we've been doing, this is one of the monthly survey episodes. I don't exactly know how this is going to go, if we're going to get through all of it or if we're going to do part 2 as a bonus episode. I think there's a lot of meat on the gratitude bone, which I'm very thankful for, that there's a lot to talk about. But there's a survey that we're going to do in a bit. I just thought we would have a fun conversation about gratitude leading up to it and then get into the survey. But I actually think, like, for example, that morbid curiosity scale for Halloween, that would be a really easy one if you were at a Halloween party or something like that, that you could pull out the survey, do it do it on your phone, show people where they fall. That would be a fun conversation in a small, not a party, but like a small gathering.
Or even a big party. Take a moment away from the Monster Mash or grinding up against some, I don't know, Cleopatra or Mario and Luigi duo you see there. And then be like, hey, guys, shut up for a second. Shut up. Okay, if you were in medieval times, would you go to a hanging?
So perhaps if you're doing a Thanksgiving get together, there would be things like this that would be there's a short version of this survey that I pulled up that we'll do together. But I think that there are ways to trigger and engage in bigger, more meaningful conversations, because there's one extreme of it of like, oh man, we were just hoping to have a pleasant time at the bar, didn't need to hear about all of the world crises today. And then the other side of it is like, small talk can be pretty tedious and awkward and not really be terribly meaningful, not facilitate much bonding.
And I think when you're saying all the problems in the world, it's in its way its own form of small talk. And maybe what we don't like about small talk is that it's so predictable. And same with if you're constantly talking about the same world issues that you've already doom scrolled through today and have come to these same conclusions and heard that argument and that counter argument and that counter argument. So then if you take a new axis, which is the
Yeah.
morbid curiosity axis, that has nothing to do with the weather or the fact that the weather is going to kill everything.
It's both novel and interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a really good point. Yeah, especially because a lot of the world problems, it's like, there's the illusion of explanatory depth. We run out of our knowledge on most things is fairly shallow, and so that conversation, you go, global warming, huh? And then the next person goes, yeah, that's, I try to recycle.
Yeah.
and then, that's kind of all right. Well, I'd never thought about it like that.
Yeah, and I can't even explain global warming. It's one of those ones where it's safer to believe it than it is to just not believe it. And I don't have the expertise, or I haven't done the reading to really understand what that, I mean, we know the ozone depletion, and then that melts the ice caps, which causes the sea level to rise and all this other stuff. But as far as like what's causing it, I couldn't explain what's causing it.
I'll give you a quick rundown on some greenhouse effect. If a fun one to just
is it the cows farting, or is it the big industrial cylinders shooting smoke out of it?
Well, just carbon generally. So it's just a quick physics lesson, which is that light is all waves have varying frequencies and lengths and everything else. And light is incredibly narrow, and it goes through a light wave actually travels through most everything. It's like, it's not intuitive. We don't think about it, but it's obviously is passing through the air, so you can see me right now. It's bouncing off of my face, but there's parts of it, like the reason why we have x-rays is because why you can see bones in an x-ray is because the x-ray is thin enough to get through the less dense skin, and then it hits more dense bone, and then at least more
bounces
of it does
back.
And then bounces back. And so the reason why your car heats up if the windows are up is because light, not all of it, some's reflecting off it, some of the light is getting through the window. A lot of it's getting through because of the crystal molecular structure. It's getting through the window, and then it's hitting like seat cushions and stuff, absorbing, heating up the inside, and then but the air is then more dense than the light, and it's too dense to pass through the windows, so it's trapped within the windows. And the same thing happens with carbon. As carbon rises, the density of carbon hits a level in the atmosphere where it stops at a certain altitude, and so light can still get through it, but the air can't, the heat can't escape.
So we're cooking ourselves. And is that because there's too many humans, or because of what the humans with the big companies are doing with
humans,
building?
cows, yeah,
so it's a lot of stuff.
Just a ton of stuff. Probably, if I had to guess, the biggest thing that you could do is I'm a policy guy, and I think regulating industry. I think the big smokestacks putting out the majority of stuff. Then
so
it's
not
like,
plastic straws, not just use paper straws.
Not,
I thought paper
not
straws
just
was going to
that.
fix everything.
Yeah, then what to do about it? It's endless, and it's also more complicated than what I just described. That's just a simplified version, but it's a fun, easy one to share that I think a lot of people can sort of relate to. Everyone's been in a car that heats up, and it's sort of intuitive once you hear it.
Yeah. Have you ever heard I haven't even heard the counter arguments, and I don't know if there's any good ones, but I'd love to one day when I'm not, or maybe when I'm interested in it, hear what's the best argument against man-made global warming, other than, well, you can't prove it. Like, is there an actual argument other than like, that's not enough evidence?
Yeah, I think that I think the natural cycle thing is sort of going away, which that was like, oh, these things just happen. It's natural, like a naturalistic fallacy. And then I think that there's a lot of, oh, they'll figure it out. There's just a lot of that. You mean they you don't believe and
are actively trying to discredit.
Yeah.
They'll figure it out. Yeah, while I keep throwing additional obstacles.
I'm gonna throw Molotov cocktails at them while they try to figure it out.
Yeah. Man. Maybe they will, but yeah, that's okay. Those aren't arguments. But just checking.
There's like, I heard one insane one in terms of like not worrying about overpopulation, which I see as an issue, and I don't see how we can just keep on putting more humans on this planet and not be a little concerned. But I mean, I think I'm pro birth control and such, but I heard someone say that, oh well, when you have more people, there's I think it was like on a clip
more brains
of, like,
to solve problems.
I think that was, I think it was like on Michaela Peters' podcast. She had a guest on that was like, yeah, then there's more brains and then there will be more geniuses to, like, that's a
I gotta hear
huge
that
misunderstanding of what genius even is, which genius isn't even like a person. It's like a thing that people tap into and capture, and some people can articulate and write down and do things with. But it's not like a person. Like, oh boy, if we get another billion people on this planet, that's 5 more geniuses. Like, no, that's not at all what genius is or how it works. It's not some weird lottery ticket. I don't know.
I gotta go hear that clip because that sounds funny.
But I've heard that in other places. Not to shit on her or that guest's take on things, but so anyway, I was curious, what's your take on like what gratitude is? Because I don't really necessarily have a working definition. I think it's the
opposite of taking something for granted, and maybe those two, I mean, they sound similar, granted and gratitude, but we take so many things for granted, and it's easy to, when the power goes out, it's easy to be like, oh, it was so good when we had power. It was so good to have electricity. I had no idea how good we had it before. And then gratitude is getting one step ahead of that and recognizing that, oh, the power could go out at any moment. Oh, my kidney could stop working at any moment. And this is also a recipe for neurosis if you don't use it right, but it's wanting what you have. So what you have is like what you want.
That's interesting. So there's probably, I think the word gratitude probably covers a lot of things that could then be broken down into more specific parts. And that's certainly one of there's also like a bit of, because part of that is like relief, you know, like if you need power to go out for a while to appreciate power, which I think you sort of do from time to time. Like I remember going.
It got me into Zelda. It sounds crazy, but all the power went out, but the Switch was still charged. So I was like, well, I can't do any work. I'll get into video games again. And then it got me back into video games.
And you're loving Zelda.
Loving it. It's getting me behind on all my emails. Haven't checked my bank account in 3 weeks. It's not a good situation. But I'm almost done with Zelda, so maybe I'll be back in business mode soon.
Yeah, I've had problems with this game, Tichu.
Pikachu?
Tichu, Tichu. It's like euchre or spades or something like that.
Oh, I was just imagining a Pikachu with a little like square graduation hat that teaches you stuff.
No, it's just like a Japanese trick-taking partner game.
Oh, okay.
And the problem is I'll play online with people, and so it doesn't, like, if I played with you and 2 other people, it wouldn't be a problem because we could play a game or 2 and then be like, that was fun, have a good one, but when I can just play with any stranger at any time, I just don't have the self-control for that. But
one more drink.
but I mean, but there's also there's certainly, because that's interesting, because that's like an individual gratitude, and then there's the like social gratitude for which is a little more related to, so that was kind of a reappraisal, a reappreciation almost. And then but there's also thanking someone else for doing something, being grateful that someone has done something for you is another kind of, that one's sort of easy to understand. Actually, I guess both are easier evolutionarily, from like a nuts and bolts of like basic evolution. The reciprocity stuff is, expressing gratitude for someone doing something for you.
Isn't that the same as the power in a way? Because the power just isn't, or the electricity isn't just there. There are human beings pulling whatever levers and making sure whatever things. I don't know them.
Well, that's interesting that you say that, because we were talking about in the Halloween episode, because if you think about gratitude is often very connected to spirituality as well, and often there is we ritualize gratitude. There's like ceremonial gratitude. There's we have a holiday based on it. We talked about leaving in the Halloween episode, leaving food out for the dead or whatever, but a lot of that was more, some of that was like, don't hurt me, or you're probably hungry if you're but then there's a lot of like offerings made to show gratitude to a deity, which is interesting too. That's because we talked about sacrifice, which is, I thought that was so interesting, this idea of, we didn't expand on it, but the idea that you're sacrificing food before winter when you need it the most to pay homage to some spirits, or protect yourself from these spirits or whatever. And when, I'm sure there was people back then that didn't believe in the spirits and ghost thing and like did the ritual anyway. But
because people are watching,
maybe, but I think a lot of people would have believed it. But if you think about the, like, we've talked about the handicap principle and the advertising. There's some sort of advertising going on there. It's like, well, yeah, we must be doing pretty good if we can spare to, leave a bunch of food to rot out on a step for maybe ghosts.
Mm-hmm.
It's like whenever there's this tendency that I have where when I'm broke, I'll like buy things I should, like I'll buy like a fancy meal or whatever. There's like this weird feedback loop where it
last meal.
It's not. I've had last meal moments. I remember doing that with like lottery tickets and stuff like that when I was like 19 or 20 or whatever. But
it's Charlie in the Chocolate Factory, right? Where Willy Wonka in the Chocolate Factory, where he uses his last penny or something to buy the candy bar, and then that's the one that had the gold wrapper, because the first one was a fake out.
But to me, there's also some sort of there's something that I get from it, which is like, yes, like my executive functioning brain might know what my credit card balance is, but like the more primitive part of my brain is like, Oh, so they must be doing something right if you're eating in a place like this. There's something about it, you
Oh,
know?
yeah, letting your primitive brain kind of have the day instead of just living that executive function boring boss.
And it's almost like you're proving to yourself that you can sacrifice, that you are strong enough, and to sacrifice this and that, or make this offering to this deity, or buy this fancy meal or something, and
You're worth something, yeah.
I wonder how much of that is going on with with the idea of gratitude and giving thanks. So it's like the idea of oh, what's the good? What's that guy
Oh,
again?
Jocko Willink, not Pastorius. Two
Yeah.
Jockos that I'm into. Different spellings, different dudes.
Willink. I mean, if you think about it, that's like expressing gratitude for problems, but it's almost like an inner display of strength to yourself,
Yeah,
that
imagine
like
if he
you
didn't
are
care
going.
about strength. There's just like, be grateful for all you have. You have lots of food. And but he's the same Navy SEAL, but without the toughness.
What would you say? What's your? So I guess I shared a little bit of my skepticism through the years. I feel I was pretty. I feel like I was a pretty ungrateful
Little
person.
brat.
Yeah, until I get on comedy, I became grateful when I started doing comedy. I also had a lot of success early on, so maybe it was like easy to be grateful. But I got so many friends from it, and finally like got attention from girls and stuff like that. So there was also like just more to be grateful for, rather than just
You didn't
like
do well with the ladies before comedy?
I was like super shy. I wouldn't know if
Would they ever come after you?
I mean, to this day, a lady needs to be pretty forward for me to be like, okay, all right. That's like, I'm extra cautious. Like, if someone comes up to me, I'm just like, I usually assume, you know what,
You're
especially after a show.
sexually oblivious rhino, that meme from 10 years ago where it's got the picture of the rhino and then he's like saying, come over to your place, but it's 3 a.m.
I also just don't want to be presumptuous, and I just like, I don't want to be a bother. Like, I always just feel like, I've dated some exceptionally attractive women, and I've seen just like how fucking much they get hounded and everything by dudes all the time. That's just like, I don't want to mistake something and be like just another fucking pain in the ass, like one of the three dudes nodding like, oh yeah, global warming, yeah, you're absolutely right, and she fucking knows that they're just trying to get laid, but just wants to give them a lecture on things in the meantime.
It is funny to think about how oblivious some dudes are with like, oh, I'll tell them that they're attractive. Like they haven't heard that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna be giving some new information. I'm putting in my 2 cents, but you're just contributing to annoying interruptions of the day. But also some
Yeah,
people are craving it. I mean, I've walked down
for
West
sure.
Hollywood and like been told like, hey, that guy was looking at your ass. I'm like, really? That's so cool. Never had my ass looked at before. I'll never forget the first day it happened in 2011. My first ogling.
Yeah, I mean, if a girl comes up to me after a show, I would just there's just more to lose. I don't want to, if someone's like a fan, I don't want to disappoint a fan by creeping on her. So I make sure that I'm sure, and
The anti-Dalia stance.
yeah, I'm pretty cautious. But anyway, what's your relationship with gratitude?
With gratitude. I don't think I was as big of a brat as you described yourself to be. I think I was medium. I was kind of optimist, but also not optimist. Just the general like high school angst of yeah, it's just stupid. But I wasn't a goth either. I don't know, just pretty.
You were Optimus, just not Optimus Prime.
Not Optimus Prime, regular Optimist. But friends would describe me as like, oh, you're like one of the most enthusiastic people I've ever met. And maybe it was maybe just around them though, because I'm not a downer in front of friends. Like in front of friends, I'm like, oh, let's hook this up to here and let's hook this up and see what this sounds like. This is gonna sound great. All right, it doesn't sound that good, but I bet it'll sound really good if we patch it through the wire converter. What's a wire converter? Let's look it up. And but then when I'm just at home, I'm like listening to John Frusciante solo, like really sad, suicidally kind of music.
Yeah,
so kind of both. Maybe it's tough to be ultra enthusiastic by yourself, but I'm also kind of introverted, so it's a weird mix.
Yeah,
having a great time when I'm around people, but I'm never calling people to me. I'm like, gotta get more people around.
Well, I mean, certainly as an artist, a lot of your pieces express the concept of gratitude. So
yeah, one of them even just says gratitude on it.
Is that right?
Yeah, well, it's the whole piece says gratitude is recognizing the extremely unlikely circumstances of your current situation. And it's got a little picture of the Earth, and it's got the Earth's atmosphere protecting it from debris and from the UV of the sun, and also there's nothing else on a collision course to the Earth. The Earth has been hanging out for some time. It's pretty cool how safe we are from at least outer space perspective. We're messing stuff up inside, and that's been said just over and over and over again in every angle. But it's grateful to be there's no space aliens, no asteroids on our way, none of that.
There's definitely like from and people are like, we just got done talking about climate change. People are like, we must protect Mother Nature, and because we always assign way too much agency to and mind to things that don't actually have one. But Mother Nature should be fucking grateful. Mother Nature hasn't been like split in half by an asteroid and just exploded. It is pretty incredible that we're here at all. That is,
and we've seen it happen or we have evidence that something really took out the dinosaurs, and nothing bigger than a chicken walked away from that asteroid impact, and the crater is still there. So we know
chicken was the average size of the dinosaur, so maybe it wasn't that bad. That's one of those things you learn about, and it's like, oh well, that just ruined my childhood.
Oh, I thought they were like crawling around everywhere, and they were bright colors, and they would make roars, but they turned out to have little like squealish, like wienery shrew voices.
Oh, by the way, we have these. Oh, what is it? We have a bunch of fans in Australia, oddly enough.
Oh, nice. Too easy. No worries.
and there's in Sydney, I think it's the Natural History Museum. They have some sort of First Museum. Friday or something like that, where they have this like basically like a wine cocktail party where the entire museum's decked. You can get drinks, walk around with beverages of your choice, and each room has like DJs and different games going on and stuff, so you can like dance next to Brontosaurus skeletons. Cool. And it's fucking awesome. I don't know if more stuff like that exists in the US, but I want to I'm
mixing highbrow and lowbrow.
I'm coming
lowbrow is the dancing and the whatever, and then the highbrow is dinosaur bones.
What's the thing in LA, the Jurassic 5,
the hip hop group
Museum of Jurassic Jurassic
Technology.
something yes.
Museum of Jurassic Technology. Isn't that a fake museum of like, we went to it, but there's a lot
more
of
interesting than that. You did go to it?
Yeah, it was great. And I don't remember a lot of what I saw, but I remember it was
That's what I was
interesting.
gonna say. I was wondering if you wanted to go with me. I'll find someone
I'll
else
go
though,
again.
but it's so it's half fact and half fiction.
There we go. So you don't know which one is which.
Yeah. Which is it was actually a scientist friend was just telling me about it and was like raving about how cool it was.
It's fun.
So,
Then there's little
Yeah,
sculptures of pencil tip sculptures too. Those are fun. Those are real. But the story behind them, maybe they're not real. Where they just sculpt a little ballerina at the very tip of a pencil. One of those.
Yeah, I mean, it is, to me, a sense of gratitude that I have an easy time tapping into, even when I think everything is pointless. It's very easy for me to tap into a sense of awe for just the 11 billion year, like the chance that we're here right now, able to do any of this on the worst day is still fucking fascinating. And even when it's awful, it's fascinating to me.
Yeah. And mathematically, I always bring up Matthew Broussard said this to me, how if time is infinite, given that there's infinite time before this moment and infinite time after this moment, the odds of us being at this moment right now aren't close to zero. It's actually zero. So it's literally impossible to be in this moment right now.
Yeah, it is
the one miracle, and we used it up. We used it up on being here instead of something cool like rollerblades.
And then I also get dicky about my gratitude too, which is whenever people are, I'll explain. when people are,
be grateful you have a dick. Some people don't have them and really want one.
I mean, I should say pricky, which can also be contrived as a dick. But people have such a reverence for old philosophers, ancient wisdom, our elders, and that's it's like, so you think everything that's old is wise and true and important and sacred, but you don't fuck with evolution? Like, evolution's the oldest, like, wisest, most incredible thing that there is. You know?
Mean in not believing evolution?
That's I mean, well, some people just straight don't believe in evolution, but two, also like the coming to understand that evolution is a thing 300 years ago or whatever is
300 years ago is it'd be easier to not believe it then, but seeing the evolution of our technology should be a big hint at evolution being a thing across the board.
Yeah, but it's I feel like man, if you want to appreciate just the way I think in the past couple episodes we talked a few times about just the way and everything's figured out this little bit of niche, like there just hasn't been humans are sort of starting to upend that, just because one of the downsides of us being so incredibly successful and like, no bullshit, we are a pretty impressive species when you compare us to dolphins or anything else. Like, no doubt about it.
Yeah, we even have better like rape and assault people than dolphins. Like, you put Cosby up against any team of dolphins, and he did better. I mean, he did worse. He
is better than any dolphin out there. But anyway, the idea that I do quite easily, I'm able to tap into a sense of appreciation for that. So I looked into this study that we're going to do. Before we do it, this will kind of maybe clarify some of the things that we're talking about. I normally, if you were to do this study at home, which, by the way, maybe just pause, go to the link in the description, and take the study ahead of time before being primed. I should probably just said that before the episode, really, because priming does kind of fuck everything up. But these things are still just fun, and you don't need to take it all that seriously.
Yeah, go ahead and prime yourself a little. Have fun. Treat yourself.
Yeah, treat yourself. Not too
primed.
much priming.
Just a pinch. Salt Bay.
But so one, this wasn't a guest that I had on Here We Are. I didn't do like a deep dive into any research. I just happened to come across this survey on gratitude. It's from 2005. And like I said, that was like the infancy of a lot of this stuff. So I imagine probably the science of gratitude has came a long ways since this time. So who knows how dated this was, but I do believe this was the very first survey trying to quantify it, and it broke it into 3 categories. Again, I shouldn't be saying this because it's kind of tipping the hat at some of the questions a little bit, but it'll make for good conversation.
Yeah, and most of the listeners aren't taking the test probably right now,
right?
They're working on something, or they're
driving
running
a car or whatever else. Yeah,
riding a bike, horseback riding, rollerblading.
If you're horseback riding, stop listening to this and just enjoy that fucking canter that you're on right now. You're just on a full canter listening to Mind Under Matter. Jumping fences and stuff while we talk about our dumb philosophies.
Yeah. And they're not dumb, they're stupid.
Do you think people will be impressed that I know what cantering is, or is that a regular bit of knowledge?
I didn't know what it was.
It's like fast. I believe it's like when you're going fast on a horse.
I thought it meant you were going up and down, like bobbing, but fast is makes more sense.
Yeah, it's I think you're chugging along. Let's look it up just so we don't spread too much disinformation. What?
This podcast is kind of like the Jurassic Museum of Technology in that it's half made up.
It really is. The center and the canter and gallop are variations on the fastest gait that can be performed by a horse. So yeah, I nailed it.
Nice, nailed it too.
All right, so 3 parts. 3 kinds of gratitude they were trying to, and the reason why I looked this up was because I went to score just before recording this. I was like, oh, I should check out the scoring system. And then I was like, what the fuck does this mean? So this first category is a lack of a sense of deprivation.
Oh, my wife's aunt's cousin's sister's boyfriend's dog's pet rock. What?
So you want to know what it actually is? It's a sense of abundance.
Phrase it again.
It's just the negative phrasing of, like, they really shaned up saying a sense of abundance.
The lack of a sense of not having the inverse unfeeling of negative non-deprivation multiplied by
I was like,
negative
is
1.
that what I sound like to people? Because if so, I'm an asshole. It's a lack of a sense of deprivation.
A lack of a sense of deprivation. So I don't feel deprived.
Yeah, you're like, the lights aren't off right now.
Okay, so how do we answer
this? The power's
this?
not shut down right now.
Yeah.
So a sense of abundance. And then there is an appreciation for simple pleasures. That's not a bad one. That's a good one. I like this marker. I've been fucking with markers.
Markers are great.
Yeah, right. I've been writing for about a year now. I've been writing with markers, and kind of a game changer. Yeah, it's they're they're a nice write. If you don't mind using up more paper, they're terrific. So an appreciation for simple pleasures, a finer writing utensil.
Yeah,
That's nice. I like that feel.
or you could just
And then the third
rainbow
one.
Post-its. Get all the Post-it colors.
You are an impressive Post-it user, I must say. I have been in your office/studio, and I've bought plenty of colored Post-its in my life, and I always have big ideas for those colored Post-its. And there's usually like, a couple that get used, but you've spruced it up. You got a whole system. You got them like on the walls, organized.
It's a serial killer's hotel room.
It's it really is like fine-tuned and organized, impressive. And then the third one, which I just demonstrated, is an appreciation for others, or social appreciation.
So abundance, small pleasures, and others.
Mm-hmm.
So others is medium, abundance is big, and small pleasures is, of course, small. But I mean, others is actually big, because if I had to give up my Post-its to like save your life, or even like add a year to your life, I would gladly get rid of all these Post-its. I wouldn't even say bye. I would just let them go.
What amount of time added to my life would you be like, I'm going to keep the Post-its? There has to be some, for like one more minute of life. Don't sacrifice your Post-its. There's got to be some amount of time where you're like, no, I'll hold the Post-its.
Everyone's got a number. Or if it's too big and like, I don't want you to live past the earth and then you're just floating there in space alone.
So those are these three categories. And then, so within that, I mean, we can start the study now.
Let's do it.
I didn't know if you had anything else that,
no,
you
just
wanted
the
to say
Post-its.
on the subject of
Just the Post-its.
of gratitude, but all right. And by the way, listeners, as we're now 7 months into the show and constantly experimenting and stuff, this is we're attempting. We've hit a little higher numbers than this normally, but our plan is to do like one of these surveys a month for as long as they continue to be fun. And surveyed some people on Discord and stuff. Seemed like they were pro the survey episodes. We did a few more than a month. I just don't want to, I get in my head about everything. And so I don't want to overdo it with the surveys. So when you like or don't like things on the show,
leave a thumbs up and then privately email us.
Yeah, privately email us the negative things.
Leave a 5-star review, write that it's all good, put a thumbs up, and then privately email us with a light criticism.
Yeah.
Feather touch criticism.
Yeah.
But if you criticize publicly, we have a team of fierce lawyers that will end you.
Yeah. I just lost my
pen
scoring
marker
system. Here we go. All right. So this is, let's see, we're at like an hour, 15 minutes or so. So I think we will be doing a second episode. So we'll start this and just see how this goes, because these are, so this short version, which we'll do, is 16 questions. The long version is 44.
That's
statements.
the SAT. I have to like bring some lunch with me. I have to make sure I get a good
it is kind of nice though, because we're gonna do this short one, and then which I think will bleed into a bonus episode, and then if we run out of these topics on the bonus episode, we can dip into some of the 44. If we get through, there's nothing wrong if we happen to get through all 16 of these, which would be like 3 minutes a piece or something like that. That's fine. I just think that these are pretty big topics. So let's get started. By the way, this is called the... Oh, shoot. Shoots my boots, guys.
You don't know the name?
No,
this is the longest we've taken to get into it.
Sorry. Gratitude, resentment, and appreciation test.
Gratitude, resentment, and GRA. The GAR test. The
GRAT. Grat.
Oh, yeah, the GRAT.
So this is, they fucked around with a 9-point scale, which I'm down for. We got a neutral at 5. We got a 1's a strongly disagree, 3's a disagree somewhat. I mostly agree with the statement is a 7, and 9 is I strongly agree with the statement, and 2, 4, 6, and 8 are just in between those, which I like. I like a little I like a little nuance in my scoring system. I'm for the 9-point system.
9 is all the symbols of the numbers, because once we get to 10, it loops back. So 9 is really using all the buffalo. Yeah,
I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind seeing some more 9-point scales out there if we have any scientists, listeners working on their new scales.
Yeah, you want to be mine? Go 9.
This is the first one is I couldn't have gotten where I am today without the help of many people.
9.
Let's see, how do I just rate that there? Okay. Ooh, this is going to be a nightmare to keep track of, because I'm trying to keep track of the 3 categories too, and it's also just not, there's no easy intuitive system for it. I got to do it by hand.
Do you know what's interesting is I wonder if people would answer that differently in a different context. So if you're answering it in a gratitude context, it's like 9. And then if it's a political context, you're like, well, I guess I had some help, but I mainly worked hard and I earned every penny that I worked for, and I'm going to give it a 2.
Yeah, I mean, I'm worried this test is going to make me a little sad because I don't know. I'm curious where I'll fall on this gratitude scale, because if I'm answering that question, so you're a strongly agree, a 9 out of 9 on that. I mean,
of course, any favor anyone's ever done, any advantage I've had has gotten me here. I also worked hard, but also, you know, I didn't grow up in the streets or in the south side of Chicago or in the not death row. What's it called? I don't even know the name of it. Skid Row. Mm-hmm. I mean, people don't really grow up on Skid Row, I guess, but.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of where I got today was going from the exact opposite direction of what everyone told me to do and everything that I was conditioned to do and conditioned to believe. And so I have a rather contentious relationship relationship with people and how much help I mean, certainly like my parents have been helpful with like resources and stuff, and I wasn't brought up on Skid Row and everything, and I've had help. I've had help along the way, and also I feel like my score is much higher now than it would have been even like more than 5 years ago. Because I got into stand-up mostly because it's like, fuck it, I'm just on my own terms. I don't have a boss. I don't have anyone to account for. And I had agents and managers and stuff. I had a lot of comic friends that helped along the way. But I don't know where I feel on this. I mean, I'm grateful
Imagine
for
them
all
standing
of the help
in front of you.
Many people.
Imagine anyone who gave you a spot, like who did you a solid, who brought you out on the road with them, who gave you a late night spot. Imagine them standing in front of you right now, and you have to pick which one you're circling. It's like, I'm going to circle 9.
That's definitely, I mean, that's absolutely true. But also, like, I reciprocated back. I helped out others too. They benefited from having me on their stage or for uh, like very little money. And
That's true. It is kind of a mutual exchange to some point.
there's a lot of mutual exchanges out there. I will say, if you want to hear a fun origin story, Shane Mauss origin story of like, you know, because I would hate for, you know, family or friends or whatever to feel like taken for granted by listening to this right now.
I would hate for any of them to have listened to this at all. The worst phrase you could hear is, "So I listened to your podcast the other day." No!
It happens. It happens at like pickleball or family functions and stuff sometimes.
Yeah, it's the worst.
It really is the worst.
I'd rather just be given a cancer diagnosis, even if there's no reason why they would have that information. But I would rather hear the words, "The tumor is malignant."
There's something
rather than, "So I checked out your podcast the other day. So
there's a there you know, there's something like magical about these brief meetings, these brief intersections. Like you know, like anyone in life that you became friends with or whatever, you know, there's all these like chance interactions that are life changing, and just knowing you and having this podcast and everything else. But there's also ones that just like, have you ever had any that's just like, oh, just like this person that I just bumped into just for a moment in the path of life, just like helped me so much or like made an impact in this way. And then it's like, and then we just never really talked again. Like I had early on, I had this, so, you know, there's people like Joe List helped me get some spots early on. And then there's just like a ton of friends in Boston. Like Mike Kaplan was really supportive. Everyone was super supportive when I started in Boston. I was very grateful for that because they weren't, they
so
were
ironic for Boston to be like
it
that.
Really is. They grade tough.
Yeah.
As you said in the last episode, they grade tough, and and they liked me, and there was some bookers and stuff along the way that helped. And also, by the way, I don't take it personally when someone didn't help me out and didn't like me or want to work with me or want to help. Like, I don't resent that person for it. It's just like, yeah, I don't take that personally, you know. And but there was this. So I was in this Boston Comedy Festival in 2006. So I started April 2004 is when I started comedy. So this is like fall 2006, early fall 2006, Boston Comedy Festival. I made it in, and then I'm just like breezing through it, just having killer sets. And I was just like so cocky at the time. Like there were betting pools on who people thought were going to win the Boston Comedy Festival, and a lot of people favored me in the finals and maybe winning and stuff. And I did end up making it into the finals, and I actually got some awful advice from the first time I met industry, and they were like, "Oh, you know, this finals is being recorded, and it's going to be an album, and you know, who knows, they might like play it in a Walmart or something like that." So
talk about
like,
how Walmart has everything.
Keep it clean and stuff. And I was like, and like, what a horrible bit of advice to get. Like, abandon what you've been doing so far, overthink it. This stupid Boston comedy album might be played in a fucking Walmart. Are you serious? But it got in my head.
When is a comedy album playing in a retail store?
Jim Gaffigan isn't played in a fucking retail store. What the hell are you talking about? That was literally something that like a real manager, like not a good one, but anyway, there's a bunch of people that that I met there, like Robbie Praw, who's at Netflix, was like the Montreal Comedy Festival and stuff at the time.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
this comic, Kjell Bjorgen, out of Minneapolis, he had been in this Aspen Comedy Festival the year before, and like one of the people that helped book it, he had like had a friendly relationship with or whatever. She asked him to keep an eye out while he was at this festival for anyone that would be good for Aspen. He saw me do a set after the first set.
This
and
is
got a
Chael
hold of
Summer.
her.
What's the name again?
Kjell Bjorgen.
Kjell Bjorgen.
And
I love Bjorgen.
It's spelt fucking crazy.
Bjorgen Kjorgen from the Kjorgen Fjords.
He has, he has a heck of a name. It's KJELLBJORGEN.
That's what, like when Yosh walks over the keyboard.
That's
Oh, I wanted to. You mentioned Robbie Praw. I wanted to share a quick Robbie Praw thing where the way I found out I got Montreal back in 2011 was he just DM'd me, "That's right, motherfucker," and that's how I knew that was his intro to it. Yeah.
How
I don't know if he did that
was...
to everyone or if he shared a camaraderie with me because people said we looked alike at the time.
That's
I didn't have a beard, and I guess we have a similar kind of look.
Interesting. And how so you must have been pumped. Was that like your first break?
I don't know. I think that was my first break.
What year was that?
2011. It was me and Brian Gutman. It was the year Mark Maron did that speech where he was crying and he said he was thinking of killing himself, and then his podcast changed his mind. That wasn't verbatim. That would be great if it was his verbatim speech.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we'll get to give one of those speeches.
No, 2011. Oh, that would be great. Yeah. I can't wait.
We are going to murder suicide each other, and unfortunately our podcast took off.
No, I think Montreal was my first big break, maybe. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and say that was my first big industry thingy.
Nice. Yeah, 2011.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got like the late night after that.
Yeah, I ran into Craig Ferguson in an elevator. Another chance gratitude thing.
In an elevator?
In an elevator in Montreal.
In Montreal?
Mm-hmm.
He did fucking weird shit like that. There was this comic that was his caddy. Just happened to be his caddy on a golf course. And he was like, "Hey, you want a spot on my show?" Gave him a 5-minute set on his show for caddying with him. I was like, it's amazing.
And before I went up, he goes, "Hey, Ramin, but before you go up there, this crowd is very good. And if you screw this up, there's just no place for you in show business." I love going the opposite. I hate the pump up. I hate that you're going to do great. I love the opposite of like, if you screw this up, you're done.
That's hilarious. I always liked Craig Ferguson.
Yeah, he was nice.
He had an interesting, like a very riffy opening monologue thing that was speaking of people that did late night in a different way.
Yeah, I liked him too, but I didn't grow up watching him. He wasn't like my Conan or Letterman, but I would tune into him too.
Yeah. Oh, so this was 2006. So it was also, again, we talked in a recent episode, like the industry was so much different because you and I were both at the tail end of when stuff like that kind of like broke, which is now, I mean, I think YouTube launched in 2005. And now it's
4
like,
or 5, yeah.
Now it's like, have a podcast, get on YouTube, do a social media thing, and then figure out stand up afterwards. You know, I don't think like industry scouts and stuff like that are really pulling too many strings anymore these days.
No, they're going after people that already have an audience, and then off. Like Mark Normand had his whole special shot produced and everything, and then he shopped it around and nobody was interested. and then he put it on YouTube, and now it's at 15 million views or whatever the number is. I think it's broken 10 million, but after that he got a Netflix offer because he proved he had the audience.
Yeah.
Comedy.
Interesting. Comedy. So 2006, this is still like a little more of the traditional model. So Shelby Oregon, who is a great guy. I don't even know him well. He just gave me the reference. This woman, Kathy Gorey, that I haven't talked to since 2007, was this booker who
sounds like a booker name. Kathy Gorey.
Corey, yeah.
Oh, okay, still.
And so I had to go down to New York to audition for people, and I made it to the second audition in New York, and I crushed it. I absolutely destroyed, like, no doubt about it. But it was like she was like, yeah, it's really close. I'm trying to plan it's getting later and later in the year. This Aspen Festival is coming up in February. This is like this life-changing thing that I'm waiting on. And I had gotten my first headlining gig from this Boston festival where I made it to the finals, and then I took shitty advice and didn't do that well in the finals. That was a wonderful, important lesson, actually. So I'm at so it's like New Year's Eve week, and I'm broke. I don't think I'm going to. It sounds like I'm not getting this HBO Aspen Festival. They're like, there's only 2 spots left. There's like already too many white guys and stuff. Like, it's probably not going to happen. And I'm on the road with this young comic, Dan Balger, that won the Boston Comedy Festival. And we're at this seafood restaurant, and I'm in a pretty dark place. I'm broke. I have like no money left. I think I used the last of my money on like the seafood buffet, as I mentioned. I like to do. I like to spend like the last. It's funny that it actually comes into the story. And we're outdoors, and there's like pelicans and stuff around, taking in these tropical birds. I'd never been to Florida before. It's my first time on the road. It's very exciting. I'm getting paid to headline. And I get a call from Kathy, and she goes, Shane, I'm sorry, but there just wasn't enough spots left, and you're not going to get it. And I was just like, I was just like, my heart sank, and I stepped away from the table where Dan and I were eating, and then all these fucking birds swooped in and just fucking took all of my food off of the table. Well, Dan Balger, he's like a 19-year-old kid at the time. He's like, ah! Ah! Literally just like that. Ah! Ah! Trying to shoo these huge tropical birds away. And I just started laughing like a lunatic, like someone whose brain had just broken. That was it. That was the only hope for me. And like, I'm at my lowest point. And then she's like, oh, you got me. Okay. You got in the festival. And I'm like, wait, what? And then she's like, you're in the festival. I'm like, oh, what, really? And then,
nice.
And she was just playing this fun little joke on me.
Was she behind the birds too? That would be great if she coordinated the birds.
She didn't know I was laughing because I just found out my life was over. She thought I was laughing because she was a bad actress. And yeah, so certainly, like, without a doubt, there's been so many things like that along the way where it's like, yeah, I wouldn't be where I was without the help, but there's, I don't know, there's something mutual about it. Honestly, I feel bad for doing this. I feel neutral about the statement. I'm like a 5.
You do you. 5's good.
I feel like
I'm too politically correct on it.
I feel like I've done a lot on my own as well, and like my parents have certainly helped a lot. So if it was just on my parents, I don't know. But anyway, all right.
And also, I'm watching this show on Netflix called Maid, and that's about this maid that doesn't have any money, and it's really emphasizing how expensive being poor is. Like, you're staying in a apartment with mold in it because you can't afford anywhere else. Your kid gets sick. The doctor's bills are piling up because you can't live anywhere else. The mold's giving an ear infection, and on and on and on. And so I think I'm primed to be like, oh, I'm so lucky. Everything that I have is thanks to some other connection or person that made sure I wasn't on the street.
Yeah, I mean, intellectually, I mean, and I feel like an asshole for not appreciating. See, all of these things I would like to, and the reason why I think it's important to self-report, and five's high. I would have been lower on that, but I've taken to collaborating with, like, doing this and collaborating with a lot of people over the last like 5 years or so. Especially once I started talking with scientists, I was like, oh. It is helpful to not just read by yourself all the time and like have other people to hash things out with and help out and stuff. But so I would have been even lower, and it's something that, maybe I'm hoping a couple years from now. So it's important to be honest, because it's also like what I'd like to work on. I would like any of these to be a higher number, and so I should be honest with where I'm at.
That's good. Yeah, my 9 might be fluffed. I might have fluffed it up to a 9. But either way, you're a 5, I'm a 9. 9 to 5, 5 to 9, 365. Live life 365.
2. Life has been good to me.
Yeah, I'll give it a 8.
Okay.
Oh, I don't want to tempt it. Maybe I'm leaving that extra point because I still this is just too much
think
wishful.
Life should be better to you. I think
I want it more. I want more stuff. I want to not be
you
sad
deserve
in the
more
morning.
stuff. You're so fucking talented. You're like, you need more stuff. I think you shouldn't be an 8. You should be something more than that.
I deserve everything. I'm a 1. I can't believe there's kids that make more money than me. I can't believe that there's just, it's not enough. Okay, I'm 8.
You're an 8 still?
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's not bad. I mean, pandemic, I wasn't put on the street because of the pandemic. I still managed to float.
Well, I'm recording this in my parents' basement because of the pandemic, so it's a little bit, but it's also, some of it's my own doing, and part of it's because I like lived up life. So like I could have been thriftier and putting things away and saving for a rainy day and everything, and I fucking lived life. I was thinking of like all of the stuff that I did in just like 2019. When I think about that year, it was incredible. Like trips to Europe, the touring that I did, I was like falling in love, making a bunch of money, going to Jamaica, eating mushrooms with people, like just insane. And so my ups are higher than a lot of people for sure, but I've only had like, I haven't felt up through. It's not a normal state that I'm in, is to feel
Me
up.
neither.
It's like
I gotta climb up those ladders, and some of the rungs are broken.
Yeah. So it's like, when I think, when has life really been good to me? It's sometimes it makes me sad because I'm like, well, life was good to me for like 5 to 10 years maybe, and I think it still is now and heading in the right direction. But it's a little hard. Right now I feel like I'm struggling a little bit, and also then I'm just generally kind of the idea of good and bad, and I don't know. I think I'll put You know what? I'll go a 7. I'll go a 7.
Seven's good. Seven's really good.
7 is, I mostly agree with that statement. That's pretty fucking, I mean, I kind of want to put a 6, but I'm going to put a 7. I think gratitude is something that I need to work on. I'd like to experience and feel more of. There never seems to be enough to go around, and I never seem to get my share. So this is one of the reverse scoring questions.
I mean, it feels obviously like there is enough to go around, but the not getting my share, maybe I'm a 7.
Like you do feel like you haven't gotten your share. You're 7.
Yeah, I think so, just because maybe because when you're scrolling, doom scrolling and stuff, you only notice the people that have more than you, and you don't really notice the people on the street without a phone because they're not there. But
yeah.
Maybe that just speaks to my ambition, and I would like to have more financial security and more. I don't even care about more eyeballs. I would trade half the eyeballs and ears, listeners, or whatever, have them disappear. I would trade them for cash.
Yeah,
cold hard cash. Give me $5. I would take $5 for half of them.
It's tough. I love living in a world where more people relate to me, and but I neglected financial incentives for the first, I don't know, 15 years of my career, at least nearly 20 years of my adult life. And so I feel like that was sort of a mistake. I didn't value money enough. And my younger self would hate me for saying that. But I actually think we might have flipped on this one, because I think I'm like a mild disagree on this, because I don't know that I like consider one. I do sort of think that there is part of me is like, maybe there's enough to go around, even though we were talking about overpopulation and stuff, but maybe there's ways of revamping the system, and there are people living in poverty that on a asset level have it better than royalty did in like medieval times or whatever. It's still like, that doesn't matter, because social status is a huge psychological factor and weighs on you and everything else. But I think it's possible to, if we tackle poverty, I think we could. Yeah, I mean, and I've never felt like say with comedy or money generally, I've never thought like, well, that person. I've never thought like, well, that person has a spot that I can't get. I thought like, well, it's just open. It doesn't matter. Like, no one's ever taking my spot. I'm just creating spot. I'm not taking someone else's spots. Yeah, they're not taking my spots. So I feel like I'm sort of, also I definitely, my share, I just don't, I guess I just view life as such a predicament from the onset that I don't feel like I have anything inherently like coming to me. Your birthright
is your share. I agree with that, and it's weird saying that I want more financial stuff, but there's
nothing wrong with what I want. Fucking more, and financial stuff, maybe real bad.
And I could generate it, but I get frustrated with myself that I don't generate it. It's such a weird paradox, because I could easily make NFTs. I just see news about this 12-year-old that draws an elephant and then makes $400K in an evening because they took the time to learn NFTs and sell it. And I've got people messaging me every day, are you going to sell an NFT? And then I just don't, because I'm like, oh, I don't know, it's not good for their environment, and I don't feel like doing it right now? And are people going to think I'm doing a cash grab? And I could easily make more money. I just don't. And then I just get frustrated when the end of the month comes. I'm like, I forgot to make money. Forgot to make it this month.
I don't even know how much the environmental thing is. I don't know much about NFTs and crypto and everything else. But
it's probably fine.
And we just got done talking about global warming, but when Elon Musk and like Tesla was like, well, you know what, we've decided not to accept Bitcoin after all because we're an environmentally friendly organization. That was just more the Bitcoin thing was PR. The environmental consciousness was PR. They sold like one car for Bitcoin. Like one person paid them in Bitcoin for a car. And they're like, okay, publicity over. We sold one car on this. Like, now we'll just rebrand. Now we'll just say we're doing this fucking great thing for the environment. And so
they love that back padding. Yeah.
So I need to know more about it, but I'm hesitant to say that crypto is causing some major issue environmentally, but who knows?
And that's just a moment in time. Yeah, that was hip like, I don't know, 6 months ago, all those articles, and now it's kind of died down.
Right.
Now you've got like Greta Thunberg is selling 8 NFTs. Use one where she's like, how dare you? And then there's another one where she's like, how dare you? And you can collect all 8. They're only $8,000 each, and you get a JPEG with an envelope of. I'm not even gonna make fun of it.
I want that to be true so much. Often I have been overwhelmed by the beauty of nature.
Not often enough, so I'm gonna go 8.
Okay, I'm a big 9 on that one. Easy peasy. I'm so much of a 9 on that one. I want to take some points back on some of the other ones now that I don't feel so guilty, because I'm like a 12 on the appreciating the beauty of nature. Not all of it. Like a lot of times when I hike, I'm like, I'm not appreciating this beauty, Nate, but then it just like catches me off guard constantly without trying, and so I'm pretty grateful for that. Although I think it's important to feel good about your accomplishments, I think that it's also important to remember how others have contributed to my accomplishments.
Yeah. 8.
All right. I'm going to bump down a 4 on that one, actually. Well, then I got like a sweet banana in my life who does awesome work. Yeah, I got a lot of people that help. Yeah, and that even stuff that you never see. Like I have lots of comics that say like great things about me to like other people and stuff like that, and spread the word and tell people to check me out.
Pete Holmes got me
fans that do that.
Pete Holmes got me to 10K on Instagram, and I feel like he did me a big boost, whereas if my episode of Pete Holmes never existed, he would be fine. Like, they wouldn't miss my episode, but there was a big, back when, I'm just in the lowly world of just the thousands. And once you get to 10K on Instagram, you can post links in your stories.
Right.
Which is the number one cause of getting finances. Links.
So
but yeah, screw that guy. He didn't help me at all.
Well, so I'm going to. You talked me into. I'm bumping it up past the neutral. I'm gonna do a 6 out of 9 for that one. 6. I really don't think that I've gotten all the good things that I deserve in life.
All of them.
All of them.
7.
Okay.
There's still more fun to be had. I'm not on my deathbed. I don't have any gray hairs. I could die pre-gray hair though. That would be fun. He died without a gray hair on his body.
There's I found like 3 ever in my beard, but that's just a fluke weird thing. I mean, look at how lush this thing is.
Oh, there's got to be some in there. Maybe I've got one too. I just haven't checked recently.
There's I really don't think I've gotten all the thing. See, again, I'm just tripped up by this word deserve. Like, I just really don't think life is inherently fair or birthright or you deserve or I mean, deserve feels like more of a social thing. And let me actually look at what category this falls into. I'm going to cheat a little bit.
I'm answering it as though it's going to happen if I say it right. Kind of like when it's at the hospital, like, what's your pain level right now? If you say 0, they're not going to give you the morphine. If you say it's 10, they're going to give you a lot of morphine. So I don't need like 10 level morphine, but come on. I could use a little bit.
Yeah.
Which happy face level of pain are you? This?
When you use the morphine, like, I'm hitting that button like as soon as I'm like, I mean,
I'm hitting it with while I'm on a polygraph test. So when I say I'm a 6 or a 7 or whatever I just said, it's like, oh, he does think he deserves more. It looks like he's telling the truth. He doesn't, but
yeah,
he believes he deserves more.
There's no point in. I mean, I guess that if I'm being honest, I would be like a 1 in terms of like, well, look at evolution. Like, nothing owes you anything, but like within the system that we exist in, I sometimes feel underappreciated. I think I add like a little more value than
Logan Paul.
You know what's funny is like the stuff that the stuff that have given me my most success was the stuff that like added not that much value to that's just like, there's some fun jokes, some giggles. Like, I spend lots of time like, learning science, trying to figure out how to make the world a better place, sharing interesting ideas. And I don't like, that's lost me a lot of work. A lot. I mean, it's nearly ruined my career trying to educate myself and make the world a better place. No bullshit. So
I say you deserve some more.
I'll throw down and agree with that, I guess. I mean, and then that's factoring in too that I'm not comparing myself to someone else, where I've certainly got more than other people that have worked harder and haven't. Everyone feels underappreciated, but it's still true to how I feel. So 6 goes. Where's that go again? Right here. Okay. Every fall, I really enjoy watching the leaves change colors.
It's Los Angeles, so such a phenomenon is not here. But let's say I live in Vermont or something. Yeah, I think bump it just to a 6.
6? All right.
Yeah, I like seeing those different colored yellow, orange, auburn, amber, hazel colored leaves.
I mean, I don't find myself like going out of my way to look at them. I don't find myself just like running outside. Whoa, look at that. But I find myself noticing and appreciating without any effort quite a bit. And I'm fascinated by it. It's so interesting. I guess it would be, I wonder why we attend so much to it, because I mean first off, there's something to do with I'm digging into this not because of leaves, that leaves are that important, but just the human condition of why we appreciate certain things. I think the scarcity of it is something, because I mean, if trees were just always fall colors, and then once a year they turned a lush green, you'd be like, holy shit, you know?
The earth is healing. Oh wait, it's for a month.
And there's also something attached to it too, which is, going back to the Halloween episode, when we talk about this being a time of before winter, when vegetation starts going away and going dormant and food becomes scarce. I think humans would have really evolved to really tune in to those signals of, and that's like nature's lights turning off on you.
Yeah.
Like you didn't appreciate how much you had all summer with food and everything else until you see the color of the food going away, and you're like, wow, food was great, wasn't it? No, we're just eating stored grains in a fucking igloo.
Oh yeah, if you're lucky.
If
you're one of the 1%, yeah.
I'm a 9 for that. Easy peasy.
I know what to get you this Thanksgiving.
So actually, this might be a good time to stop. We're at about the 2-hour mark, and I feel like this is a nice teaser for the bonus episode.
Yeah.
We got through 7 questions. We dug into appreciation. I got one more question that I think is really relevant.
You said it's 16 questions, right?
It's 16 questions.
Okay, yeah. If we do 8, then it'll put us right at the middle.
Yeah, because we'll dig into it a little bit more, don't you think?
Yeah.
What do you think about that? The art piece for the sculpture and it breaking and
the gratitude as a glass sculpture kind of thing.
Yeah.
There's something there.
We can hash it out afterwards, but I like sharing that with the audience. Oh, the other thing we have to talk about is our sale. Woo! So another topic, because it's our Thanksgiving episode, and we like to put them out a little bit just to give you an idea of our thought process. We like to put them out a little bit ahead of time. Week of Thanksgiving, you're bombarded with Thanksgiving stuff. And then also you're not necessarily listening to this podcast the exact day that it comes out. So we've been bumping them up like kind of like a week ahead of time or so for funsies. And we thought, let's have this a little discussion about this quick. And then I'll get into the last question I was going to share to close, because it's a good closing statement. What do you take part in the Black Friday stuff or Cyber Monday or any of that?
Yeah, and I'm hoping to get ahead of it more this year, but normally I just remember that it's a thing, and then I just go on my site really quick and be like, 15% off this week, and then I make a sale, but I'm not good at planning the business side of things.
What about as a consumer?
Oh, as a consumer, do I buy stuff for Black Friday?
I have a couple of times. Waited in line or done the thing?
No, never in physical reality. But if there's a plugin I want to buy and it's October, I'm like, I'll wait until Black Friday because I know they're going to give 20% off or 10% off of that plugin. And then I'll buy the plugin and I'll save, and then I'll never use the plugin.
I wonder what it is about just like holidays and celebration that is just like, I mean, certainly Black Friday makes sense. You're getting ready, you're getting prepared for Christmas, but it's just every fucking thing. It's like, it's President's Day, get a mattress. Like, what? I know that's a cliche joke, but it's still like, what the fuck? Why? Like, but that's interesting though, right? There's like something about a celebratory feeling.
Memorial Day, like all the
makes
soldiers
you want to
die.
consume or something.
Yeah, buy this popcorn machine. your
a
grandfather
perfect thing
died
to
on the
buy.
battlefield. Yeah. And I had to ask last year, I was asking Catherine, is Memorial Day a day where there's sales and stuff, or am I remembering that weirdly? And she's like, no, it's a day they do sales.
It's like
Weird.
all of them except for St.
9/11.
Patrick's Day, but St. Patrick's Day is like gluttony day. It's like food and
Booze,
drink day and
yeah.
stuff, booze, and because even 4th of July they have 4th of July sales. Is there
I wonder if
another
9/11 will
big
be one.
holiday that? What's that?
I wonder if 9/11 will be like a sale day, not now, but like in 20 years or something, where people won't even remember.
Not
what
now,
it
but
was.
next year when we do it.
Yeah, don't forget to save. Never forget how much money you
Much
can
like
save.
those towers, our prices are going down.
Yeah. 11% off. and they control demolition into the ground.
There's I don't know that I've done. I think I did like Black Friday once, but I think it was in my hometown of La Crosse, where it's not like the things that you see on YouTube or the news where it's like people burst through the barricades and then like Hunger Games is running through, like Hunger Games meets what was that? Grocery Sweep or whatever. What was that game where
Supermarket Sweep?
Supermarket Hunger Games meets Supermarket Sweep. Like, I've never experienced anything like that, nor would I. I've never camped out there. I mean,
I have, but not for Black Friday. I waited in line to get a Wii, the original Wii, the white one with the joysticks, and I was the only one getting it for themselves. Everyone else was in line like for their kid. Like, yeah, my kid wants this. What about you? I'm getting it for this girl I babysit. And they're like, what about you? Oh, I'm buying it for me. I
want to play it today.
Yeah, I stayed up till like 4 a.m. at the Walmart in Round Rock, Texas, and then brought it home and played it till 6 a.m. and great memory.
Well, I will say I shared early on in this podcast, I shared a story about Franklin's barbecue, where you stand in line, they run out of food, it takes like 2 hours, the line starts like 2 hours before door opens and everything else. And what a social experiment and what an interesting experience and anthropological experience it was. It was like thrilling from that point of view. And I guess I've never thought to like, I should go and just like see what people are talking about and stuff. And because we did have many listeners be like, you know what? I'm going to Franklin's. I'm doing that. I'm doing that thing that you described. Like, I want to see that. I want to see people freaking the fuck out over barbecue. And
Brisket
it is hilarious.
now sold out.
No. And there's something in me that would like to see Black Friday
there's
for
only
the
like
same
some
reason.
slimy pickles left. The
But
ones
it
at
is
the
like,
bottom of the vinegar.
yeah. But that Franklin's barbecue is worse because it's like no reason. Whereas like making your child's Christmas does have value for
Terrible,
sure.
man.
Franklin's barbecue, that's fucking silly. You're crying over fucking pulled pork right now. Like, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So we haven't even talked about what we're going to do. Something we're going to do, like a Mum Monday or something like that. And so just breaking the fourth wall. One, a way to support us, of course, is on Patreon, but we also have tons of awesome merch and stuff, which you can update the site before that time, I imagine. So we got mugs and shirts, we got posters, we got all sorts of awesome stuff. This is the best podcast for art because it comes with its own merch store. So get into it. And there's, by the way, gratitude is so if you if you, in experiments, if you follow up with customers in 3 conditions, someone bought something from you, and you follow up with them, and then you're like, hey, we still got shit for sale. That doesn't move the needle. That doesn't get people to come back any more than not sending them an email. If you target them and be like, there's a sale happening, people be like, oh, I liked that place, now they got a sale, terrific, and it bumps it up, I don't know, let's say 40% or something off the top of my head. You can check all this is the Museum of Jurassic Technology data.
I mean, 40% maybe on average, like across all stores or something.
I mean like the like on an email list, those people that get that condition were 40% more likely than people that didn't get that condition. But then the other condition was just if you emailed people and were like, hey, we're really grateful that you shopped with us, and that's all you say, that was like 70%. It was like almost double just mentioning a sale, just thanking people. You don't need to offer a sale or anything. So sincerely, listeners, from the bottom of our hearts, not because of scientific data that is going to elicit money out of your wallets, but because we mean this, thank you so much.
I gotta say, I'm one of the 30% of that 100% that where 70 responds to it. I would never, if I get an email that just thanks me with nothing, no free anything, no discount.
Because you emailed me.
Yeah, that's why I hate
the dentist.
My
inbox. How about thank me by not thanking me?
The dentist sends birthday cards and the dentist sends Christmas cards with nothing. No % off, not even a free toothbrush. Just happy holidays from the team at Downtown Dental. And the team always changes because, people leave and they hire new people, and it's a whole different gang from when you first started going there. But yeah, send nothing or send me a discount.
Yeah. So we'll figure out something. Also, the problem with doing a podcast is it really makes it hard to do so Black Friday and Cyber Monday do have something really going for them, that it's scarce, it's short, it's this one time, it's this sense of urgency, it's the fear of missing out, it's all of these wonderful primes to get people to. So how do we coax people into buying our stuff? I think that what it needs to be is like so they're listening to this on probably, I think November 15th it comes out. So I think if you give them till the end of November or something to get some sort of a discount, and it's maybe a steeper sale or discount than we would normally do, or maybe we do something
500% off.
What if we did something also could we do an extra level for our Patreon members?
Of course.
Could we do like some sort of something that's like near at cost or something like that? For Patreon people.
Yeah, at cost.
So we'll figure out some sort of discount for everyone else outside of it, and then for Patreon people we'll do just for the month of November, we'll try to do out at cost thing so you can get gifts for all of your mummies out there and for yourself.
And I still want to do a QVC thing. Like, I don't know if it's a whole episode, but one where we're live and like showcasing different things, and it's rotating on a little rotation thing, and we can make jokes. How fast
can you put that together? Because I'm going to be in. Just this is a one day you want to do this, because otherwise,
I mean, we might even do it
like
next
2
year.
weeks.
We might do it next year. I don't know if it'll come together, but just you could be Joan Rivers and I could be Melissa Rivers, and it would be a fun.
I get to be Joan?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you've been in the game longer.
That is so generous.
You're the more senior comedian. And you've done more substances.
All right. So here's the last question that I'm going to tabulate for us. This actually isn't in the short one. I just looked through the 44 questions quick and scanned it. Since it's Thanksgiving, I found one with the word thankful in it, and it's quite fitting. I'm really thankful for friends and family.
Eight.
8?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I'm like a 9. I feel like I'm absolutely spoiled in friends and family. And I feel spoiled in that we have such wonderful listeners. I know that sounds like pandering, and it is, admittedly. But the reason why, like I said, we don't do like late night sets and like comedy club, like headliner in a box kind of comedy anymore, and get to do things more specifically and get to have podcasts like this, is because this podcast isn't for everybody. It's so specific. You have to be into these kind of conversations, and the people that aren't into these conversations, they sort of suck. And you guys that like conversations like this are into the right conversations. Like, I really believe that. Not to be like arrogant, but I love when people have conversations like this. I like when people are interested in conversations like this, when people like talking about philosophy and science and mysticism and having like that I'm grateful for that, because that makes life way more worth living for me. I'm not just saying that. I mean, there's been dearths where I didn't have that in my life.
Ooh,
and my life is so much better with having substantive conversations. So I'm very grateful that people are interested in having them.
I second that, and I'll say that if you're not into these types of conversations, yes, you do suck. But there are other types of conversations too that are excellent also. But if you think that this stuff is not the best stuff you've ever heard in your life, then yeah, you belong inside of a garbage can inside of a garbage can.
Oh, damn.
Get a small garbage can, stuff you in there, and then put you in the bigger garbage can.
Someone gave one episode of Mama Chance. Turns out, they meant well. Turns out it wasn't really their vibe. Now we double garbage canned you. Mm-hmm. Now you're in 2 garbage cans. Sorry, sucker. That's what you get for taking a chance. But the rest of you guys, check us out on Patreon. We're grateful for you. If you want to show your gratitude, it helps support the show quite a bit. It's how it exists. So check out Patreon. Get all the bonus content. You guys are awesome. And until next time,
keep on salivating, honeys. Ding.